What up, PD2 fans? It's Noodle, and today we have another crazy community build for you. This is Luna the Legend's take on the Vengeance Paladin, and holy shit, I had no idea it was actually this strong. I do want to give a big shout out to Luna because he's an amazing asset to the Diablo community. So if you ever see 1080p Luna in anybody's chats, that's the guy. And I do know that he's been thinking about streaming on Twitch, so if you ever see that name live, you better check him out. Now, without too much more of a delay, let's get to the action. The gear on this legendary Demon Slayer is a little bit on the expensive side, and I'd like to say that up front. And since this is a somewhat specific version of the Vengeance Pally, I won't have an early ladder set to showcase. For the weapon, he used a Famine Rune Word for the elemental damage bonuses and the negative to enemy resistances, Hellmouth for the fire damage and negative resistances, a couple of Stone of Jordans for the skill and the added lightning damage, Nos Coil for the attack speed and lifesteal, Merman Sprocket for the huge run speed and added cold damage, Phoenix Shield and a 30 res base for all the goodies it has, but mainly looking at the negative to enemy fire res, Corpse Morn as a cheap high fire damage chest piece, although not so cheap when there are 3 5/5 fire facets inside it like this one here, Marizami for the skills and the res, and then a solid rolled Kira's with even more fire facets in it. It seems like the main idea was to lean heavily into the fire aspect of this build. On swap, we have a CTA for battle orders, and then all of the grand charms are skillers, while the small charms are various versions of elemental damage and resistances. I would say you can swap all this out for whatever you want to use, but this is not that kind of video. The skills that kills on this one are super easy to understand. Max Vengeance and then get a point into Joust and Holy Shield, and then max any of Vengeance's synergies starting with Conviction and then moving on to whatever offensive Ellie aura your little heart desires. For the Statatas, we have just enough strength and dex to wear all of our gear, and then the rest gets shift dumped into Vitality. For the Merc, we just have a tanky Act 1 fire for the run speed using a Spitter for the lower resist. The playstyle on this one's actually pretty badass. Buff with your Shouts and Holy Shield and then it's fucking go time. You joust from pack to pack, crashing mobs harder than the stock market, and since it does every element of damage, there isn't a damn thing that can stop you. If Joust is on cooldown and you're in a rush, you could also use Charge, or if you're just generally lazy, you can put Conviction on left click and then just hold down Vengeance until you're rich. Objectively, this build can clear every farming area in the game and at a wild ass pace compared to everybody else. I couldn't resist putting this up on the cow clapometer to see what it put down, and it absolutely annihilated the list at 2 minutes and 33 seconds, being only 2 seconds slower than the first place spot. I can easily say that this is the fastest and most efficient mapper I've ever laid my quickly deteriorating eyes on, and it's incredibly fun to play too. Zipping around like a Phoenix Strike assassin only to kill things just as fast or faster is an insane feeling. I'm giving this one a 9.9 out of 10. Do me a favor and like this video as it helps more people see it, and the more people that benefit from this video, the happier Noodle is. I'll have some helpful links in the description as well as a link to my Twitch where I've been streaming a lot of my season's playthrough, so be sure to follow from there. There will also be a link to the Noodle Gang Discord, which is the best way to keep up to date on anything that I'm doing, so don't be a stranger and come on in. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Happy grinding travelers, and we'll see you next week.